connects to the work that we are addressing. I don't like to say your work, because it requires all of us to think it through. It requires all of us in this room and outside this room, because with complex issues, you know, they dynamic and they evolve over time. So no one person holds the answer. Because if one person held the answer, the conference would be only about success stories and how to grow our successes further. But it's also about the difficulties and challenges that we are facing and how do we address it. And people like me get invited to help us think differently. So African spirituality is embedded a lot in rituals. And that's where the innovation comes in, because the belief system is the assumed belief systems, even by Africans who believe in ancestry, who believe in Matlosing, always believe we're being held by hostage by those there, because remember, they hold all the power because they're now with the Creator. And that's not true, because these people once lived and they had a human body, so they understand that human beings operate in certain levels and in certain ways. So when you're interacting with that entity, I would call it the non-physical. You know, there are ways in which when you, as the living, trying to make sure that you don't create discord on the other side, because it means discord on your side as a living being, that everything is actually in alignment with the spirit world. We have things that are called rituals. And because rituals, our own rituals, have been also mislabeled for a long time, because things are not understood. I know as well, when I walk into a room and I see people doing things, I can call it names very easily. So all of us have carried that judgment eye, you know, regardless of who we are in society. But it also helps us become critical thinkers, so we're not diving into things. So I'm not inviting us to start slaughtering cows in order for us to get people to donate things, you know, or let's do some dances and bend some peppers. But we need to understand why people do those things. And how can that be something that can help us in our work? How can that be an enabler? How can we leverage around those things and not be very exploitative of those things? So we believe that life does not end at death. Life kind of continues after death, and that person becomes an ancestor. And when the ancestors on the other side, sometimes they believe whatever that they have come to do is not yet complete. Then they find somebody like me, and they come back, close. And apologies, some things are quite difficult to try and find direct translation in English. So I'm really doing my best, because I was trained in vernacular, and I had to find the language to articulate this work in order for all of us to try and make sense of it. So when umuntu ayihlosi, they come back and find a body like me, and then they continue on their path of manifesting what they haven't manifested, either being a healer or something gets done and they're happy, and it's like that. We also believe as African people that the one who is deceased, their final wishes are quite important. So you may encounter that you find families where actually the loved one did express, as I am also contemplating what happens to me and my organs. You know, can my death be somebody else's life? I'm not saying that I've said yes, but I'm contemplating what it means. And maybe that person has already contemplated and has agreed to that. I would like for my, you know, for my organs to be donated, or for a particular part of me to be given somewhat to give, to be a gift of life. Because if we as Africans believe that when you are dead, it's not the end of it, it's the beginning. So it means that there is something that actually the body can gift back. So we believe that very strongly. In that regard, we also believe that ancestors also govern our lives. So sometimes we find ourselves in the dilemma, because here is a need that's not modern, it's not 2017. You know, I think it dates back, I was reading somewhere in the internet, and pardon me if I'm getting the stats right, but I think the first, was it in the 19 or 1860s, the first organ transplant? So it's a long time ago, it's been happening for a while, you know, and it's not a new thing. I think now it's becoming quite important because of the current environment we live in, where it's becoming a dire need. It's like a necessity for us to be, you know, seeking things that can actually restore people back into health, restore people back into balance and to life. So when the deceased wishes are very important to Africans, but the ancestors are also very important. So that's quite a crossroads situation. I think what finds us in a difficult position is we don't understand what I said earlier on, the importance of rituals. Because what rituals tend to do is they are the key in helping us navigate those dilemmas. And I'm sure that today is not going to be a time where you understand all the African rituals and be emancipated and like, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about when you're slaughtering and doing that. And not every ritual requires a slaughter.